Anne passed the test and she came in first, tied with Gilbert, which is okay. But her name was listed first, um, because I guess A comes before G, but one would think that they would list them by last names, in which case B comes before S. So, I don't know. Anyway, Anne came in first. She worked hard. She took the test. She did well enough in geometry. She did well in geometry. She had to have done well to come in first overall. Did well in geometry, the thing that had her worried. Now, they mentioned the kid reciting times tables as a means of calming himself, of staying in the zone, of not worrying about things. I've said it before, I'll say it again, say it 100 times, that panic and worry is the thing that really kills you. And panicking, and you lose the concentration, and you don't focus on things, and you worry about the what ifs instead of the what is right in front of you. There was one time in college where I accidentally overslept and I came into a chemistry test, and the time was half over. I mean, I lost half the time of the test. And at that moment I ran in and I was, my heart was pounding, and it was like the adrenaline. And instead of me panicking and going, oh no, I'm going to fail, oh no, I'm going to fail, it was, I have this problem in front of me. I have to figure out what happens when you burn sugar. So you have C6H12O6. And if you combine that with how much oxygen, what happens? Well, you combine the six carbons with 12 oxygens, which is six O2s. So it's one glucose, C6H12O6, plus six O2s yields six CO2s plus, what is that? Six H2Os. So it's so much carbon dioxide, so much water, and then you figure out the weights of that and all of this stuff because, you deal with grams. So there was all of this math, and it was just like, okay, this is the problem. And it's like, okay, take the problem and you break it down. It's like, okay, we already have oxygen as part of the sugar. And I know that if you take the sugar and you heat it up, then all of that water vapor goes away and you're left with just carbon. And then you have to burn the carbon and you have two oxygens for every carbon. And then just multiply it out. And so here I was hyper focused. It was like, okay, write the problem, write the problem. And it's like, okay, it's like, okay, there are six problems, there are six problems you have. I guess at that point I had 20 minutes to do the six problems. It's like, okay, that means I get 3 minutes per problem. It's like, okay, 3 minutes per problem, 3 minutes per problem. And it's like, oh, okay, where am I? Okay, I am three problems down and I have 10 minutes left. So or actually, I guess at that point it was three problems down and I came in 20 minutes late to an hour thing. And so it was, you know, anyway. And so it's like, okay, how many problems? It was just like, okay, do the math, do the math, do the math, do the math, do the math. It's like, okay, what was this? It's just like, this is that. And you just break the problems down. And I ended up finishing first because instead of panicking and doing the what ifs, it was like, concentrate on the problem, break it down, look at what you have to do. It's like, this is what the situation is. It's like, okay, the car broke down next to the road, or I have a flat tire. Okay, look for a good place to pull off. Okay, pull off the road here. Go into the trunk, get the spare, get the jack, break loose in lug nuts, lift the car up on the jack, take off the tire, put on the spare, put on the lug nuts, lower the car from down to the ground, tighten the lug nuts up one final turn, because you can't do that when they're up in the air, because then the car rotates. The wheel rotates. Then put the jack away. Uh, put the lug wrench away. Put the real tire in place of the spare tire. Okay, drive off. I have 30 miles to go. Start looking for a Walmart. Start looking for a Firestone. Start looking for. And it's just like, don't panic. Just, okay, what's the problem? What are the solutions? You have a big problem. What are the little problems that go with it? Oh, I have a flat tire. Well, I have to get the old one off and a new one on. I need to be in a place where I can do this. And so it's just, you just break it down. And a lot of this is proper planning, knowing, oh, I have a spare, I have a jack, I have a lug wrench. I've done this before. And so, it's like you break these things down. Talk with your dad. Say, hey, Dad, teach me how to change a tire. Um, that is a very useful life skill. I I don't think I changed a tire until I had to. Um, but it's an important skill to learn. It's something to try, something to do. It's not difficult, and once you know what you're doing, you don't have to be afraid of it. And then if you want to get advanced, you can rotate the tires, which involves taking the car up, taking the tires off, and swapping the places and then putting them back. Anyway, so that's a more advanced thing. But anyway, talk to your dad, talk to your mom, say, hey, show me how to change a tire. I want to learn how to change a tire. Um, but that's a good thing. Another thing that I thought about with this is memory tricks. So a large part of the schooling is memorizing things. And the multiplication tables are just something that you have to memorize. And they've done studies, and people have this little section of the brain that gets mapped to multiplication tables. That once you do it, it's like this little section of the brain is where the multiplication tables live. And the thing is that I read an article once about a woman who was bilingual. And so she grew up speaking French, and then she learned English. And she ended up having a stroke. But as part of the stroke, she lost the multiplication tables in French. If you asked her to multiply 5 times 7, she could say 35 in English. You asked her 7 times 5 in French, and I don't know, septe cinq, I think, I don't know. 7 times 5 in French, she'd just be like, because that little bit of stroke took out that part. And when you asked her in English, she had to actually go and do the math of 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 7 is 28, plus 7 is 35, as opposed to 7 times 5 is 35, which, as I said, a little part of the brain goes 35. 7 times 8, 56. 9 times 9, 81. It's just like there. So this is, anyway, there are some things that you just kind of have to memorize. But there is this great trick that I learned to keep track of knowledge, where you visualize a house or a place, some place that you're intimately familiar with. So, for instance, your house. And if you have a little fact, you go and you find a place in the house and you put it there. So, for instance, let's say I wanted to remember July 4th, 1776 for the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia. I would visualize, all of the founding fathers sitting together in Philadelphia. I'd have the Liberty Bell there because the Liberty Bell in my mind is Philadelphia. So I'd have the Liberty Bell, and then I'd have the founding fathers standing around, and I have this big banner over the top that says July 4th, 1776. And then mentally, I would walk into the kitchen. So I'd stand up here from the couch. I'd walk over to the kitchen. And I would go above the stove, open up the cabinet above the stove, reach up with my right hand, because that's the hand that I use to grab it. Reach up with my right hand, a little bit over from the left. It's about 6 inches back. I'd pull down the big jar of peanut butter. My big jar of Jif peanut butter. Open up the jar of peanut butter. And then inside, I would see the Liberty Bell and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And the big text over top, July 4th, 1776. And it's go, that's in the peanut butter. I'd screw the lid back on the peanut butter, put the peanut butter back, and close the door, and I'd walk out of the kitchen. And so if I ever needed to know the Declaration of Independence, it's like, oh yeah, that's in the kitchen. Go into the kitchen, open up the cupboard, pull out open it up. And it's like, this is how you can store things. And this is how you can remember things. It's like, okay, I have so many places. I have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is upstairs in the bedroom, the bookcase on the far left. So I go upstairs, go into the bookcase, pull it off. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And there is what, there's whatever fact I put there. And so you can just take these facts and you can, form a visual picture of it. And you put it into a specific item that's in a specific place that you know about. And then you can just run back to whatever it is. And you just think about reaching up into the shelf or opening up the cabinet or opening up a box. And so you associate all of these different movements and positions with the fact. And then as your body goes through and does it, it triggers the memory, which is really kind of cool. So that's a great way to memorize facts that are kind of difficult to memorize. You associate it with something physical and tangible. And then it becomes the place. It becomes, and you can just look it up. So that's a great old memory trick. Or a similar thing is that you have a movie, and you have this movie that plays through, something that happens. And so for instance, a grocery list is a good example of what you would do for this. So if I were to take a look at the houses that happen as I go into town, and first I pass the sewer plant, and then I pass the Sportsman's Club, and then I pass Don Woods, and then I pass Sheldon, and then I pass my house, and then I pass the Conrads, and just on down the road. If I were to make a grocery list of things that I have to do, I could put rice at the sewer plant. I could put flour at the Sportsman's Club. Mike gets a can of cherries. There's a can of pineapple at my house. There's flour at the Conrads. Then there's sugar. And then there's eggs. And I'm making a pineapple upside down cake. And, there's a list. It's here you have the houses. The rice was just something that I needed because I ran out. But so anyway, you have the houses. And it's like, oh, there's the rice, there's the flour, there's the cherries, there's the pineapple, there's the eggs, there's the sugar. Actually, it was sugar and then eggs. But anyway, so that's what you do. You have something that you memorize, that you just sort of know. It's like, or walking up the stairs. So as you walk up the stairs, you don't really think about it, but it's you step with your right foot, you step with your left foot. When you hold the handrail, it has a certain feeling at a different place. So, your hand grabs and the support catches between these two fingers there. And the next time you grab it, touches the index finger. So it's like you take this step and it's like, oh, index finger and the left foot, stepping onto the left foot is this. And so you just mentally walk through something, and every step, every piece of it, you assign something else. And so you have this sort of memory that's attached to a flow of events, and that allows you to keep things in the list. It also allows you to keep track of what's missing, because it's like, okay, this is this is that, this is the other thing. So each step, and it's like, okay, what was catching the rail in the middle while my right foot? It's like, because all of the steps are there, you can go, oh, I've forgotten something. So that is a really great sort of checksum that, it adds up. It's like, oh, this is what I've lost. This is what I've forgotten. Um, it's a very useful trick. And knowing that you have these tricks, knowing that you have these things prevents you from panicking, because, you have your list. Pull over to a safe area, break the lug nut, lift the car, take off the tire, put on the new tire, tighten the lug nuts, lower the car, tighten up the lug nuts, put away everything. So knowing that you have the list prevents you from panicking. And it's like, pop, bump, 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 bump. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen? I'm lost. I tire. Ah. It's like, no, this is something It's like, I have my list. So I pull over. First step up the stairs. Pull over safe. Right foot. Catching the finger here. Oh, that's loosening the lug nuts. Left foot. Lifting the car. Right foot. Finger there. Oh, that's... sorry. Right foot. Finger there. That's taking off... That's loosening the... That's taking off the tire. And it's just like every step is, it's mapped to a step. And once you have the list, it's like, I don't have to panic. I know what to do. And, it makes sense to even just think about these things. It's like, okay, I am going on a trip. It's like, okay, if I have I have spare cash. I have a credit card. I have people I can call. And, knowing that you have people that you can call, you can say, hey, Pops, I need help. It's like, okay, what do you need? Paul one time forgot his wallet at a gas station. So he was driving to Nebraska from Pennsylvania, and he was on the Ohio Turnpike, and he got off and he got gas, and he left his wallet at the pump in Ohio. And he didn't realize this until he needed gas in Iowa. And because he had no gas and his credit cards were in his wallet and his cash was in his wallet, he was like, what do I do? He was like, call Pop. Call me. And I was like, okay, you can handle this. Give me the gas station attendant. Hey, gas station attendant. Yeah, he needs gas. He's like, yeah, he needs gas. Okay, get out the paper, write down this credit card number. And that's the thing about credit cards. It's like, if you have the number, you can just, it's like, yes, this is Mark Lively. My credit card number is 123-456-789-12. And it's like, they write down the number. The expiration date is June of 2029. It's not June of 2029. That's just an arbitrary date. 2029 is probably too far in the future. 2055, it's just like, whatever. The date's this. The security code is that. And they're like, okay, and they write it down. And then I get the charge on the credit card, and Paul gets gas, and he's like, thank you. It's like, okay, now go back and get your wallet. Drive safely. You just added an extra 8 hours to your drive because it's 4 hours this way and 4 hours that way. If you need to rest, give us a call. We could get you a room or something. But it's, it's like you make plans and contingencies, and sometimes you have to rely on strangers, but hopefully, you remember who to call. Lolly's a great person to call too. She's probably more prepared than I am. But you just know who to call, and you prepare for things. I mean, it's best. It's like, oh, I don't have my wallet. I don't have my cash. I don't have my credit cards. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That's why I keep $100 stashed here. So you can pull over and get gas to get back to your wallet, get back to whatever. Um, so, it's you be prepared. You plan ahead and you don't panic. Never panic. Never, never panic.